I'm Scott Al Miller. It is Thursday night. That means it is time for the Nicaragua Live. Welcome to the show, everyone. It is great to have you here. If you're watching this, if you're seeing this, that means you're not watching it live. You're watching it recorded. The people who are coming on live haven't gotten the notification yet, but we're going to send that out and let people know about the show so we can get everything up and running. So, what a busy week it has been. But things are good. Not bad stuff, just really busy. So that's fine. Getting the news out right now that we're starting the show. I do actually like it when we do an intro, but I had no time to do an intro this week. So no intro for me. Just throwing the news out there and getting these groups notified. We did have a spammer on the WhatsApp groups today, so we had to clean that up. Always loads of fun. And as I have had to do recently, I will be working 2 different shifts while we do the show. Yes, I actually do 2 things while doing the show, not 1, right? Which is it's a lot. Right? Like, I have to work Thursday nights, and I'm covering a shift that we don't have an extra person for, which is fine. Not complaining. It's not a problem that we don't have a person for that shift, because it is easy, and I am able to do it during this show, and I'm going to be doing the show anyway because I like doing the show. So that part, is all fine, but it would be nice if I didn't have to work when I did it and had the option of not working. Larry is here. Hello, Scott. Hey, Larry. Beverly Evans is here. Happy Thursday! And I need to let my dad know that the show has started. We are on the quite late side this week because I literally got back from Managua and kicked this off. So in just a minute, I'll tell you about my not very interesting trip to Managua. And this week's thumbnail, of course, brought to you by my daughter Luciana, is a pangolin with a baby pangolin riding on its back, because that's what pangolins do. Pangolins are heavily endangered, so we're bringing attention to the pangolin. It is a very sweet anteater type animal, but it has thick scales, and unfortunately, a lot of places like to kill it just because they have weird religious beliefs, and they want to destroy them out of just pure hatred. So they're very sweet, very docile, do not live well in captivity, so protecting their habitats and keeping poachers away from them is important. Very, very important. So just drawing attention to that. How is everyone doing this week? What you guys got going on? What's new? Do we have questions? Do we have stuff? I have not actually looked at the comments much. I've probably not missed too much, but it's possible that I've missed a bit. I will do my best to take a look over there. My dad is here. Good evening. Let's see. Oh, we got loads of comments caught in the filters, but these are not. None of these are bad, right? It's like people asking questions about a restaurant, someone asking about the gigantonas, someone commenting like just more information. Like, none of these are negative. Except for the people on the psychosis episode complaining about how boring the episode is, and just going on and on about how boring the episode is. That is weird, right? Talk about having some time. And on that AI psychosis episode, we got lots of people who aren't from our normal community, so a lot of people aren't used to how fast I talk and stuff, and just some weird comments there. But let's see. What did he say? Oh, I wasn't bored until I began watching it. And like, you were so bored that you complained about how boring the video is. Like, she optionally, so waiting for you to get to the effing point in psychosis inducing. 6 minutes in and you're still not effing there. I think I'll just ask Gemini for the cliff notes. I said, wow, you must be so bored with nothing else to watch. Oh, I wasn't bored until I began watching it. There is a maximum in editing called Kill Your Darlings. You might want to read up on it. Not half as bored as someone that hearts their own comments. And she keeps trying to sell this thing. I don't know. But so one of the reasons we do long form videos is just to talk about this. Hold on. Hold on. We are at what minute marker? 6.5 minutes. So the reason, and we've talked about this before, so one of the dumbest things that people will do, and I understand that people who don't think it through at all don't realize how pointless this is, but people go on to the YouTube notes, comments, and say things like, oh, I wish you made short videos, or like they just want the videos to be different. And so to be clear, there's a very important difference between tweaking and changing, right? And I realize that can be a gray area. But tweaking might be like, and some people comment on this, right? They'll be like, this video you had a lot of wind noise, or you picked up static, or you're really quiet, or the background music is louder than it normally is, or something, right? Or the background music is just too loud. Like, obviously that's a tweak. Those things are valuable for the most part. I can't edit the already existing videos, so unless it's something that's going to apply to a new one, then it's kind of pointless. But if it's something I can learn from and correct, and it's actually a problem, or potentially actually a problem, then that's valuable. Those are tweaks, and thank you. What a change is coming in and saying, I don't like what your show is, I would like it to be something else. So my shows are a daily long format, and that's not for everyone, right? It's not for most people. Most people prefer rare, like maybe weekly or monthly, short form, maybe 1 to 5 minutes. And that's, that is the general pattern. I'm just going to correct some autofocus stuff here. Slightly off center. There we go. That is how the world mostly works today. Most people want vertical format, they want very short formats, they want highly edited, and so forth. But the thing is if you cater only to that audience, then there's no one to cater to any other audience. I don't necessarily try to cater to a specific audience. I've created an audience because I was making a show in a certain way, and over time that generated an audience. You guys. So the format, so there's two ways to drive how you make a format. You can take your audience and figure out what they want if you have a audience that can't change, or you create a thing and see what audience that gets, right? And in this case, we're doing that. If the goal was to sorry, just gotta answer someone. If my goal was to have a giant audience and to really, really go after as many people as possible, I would do a bunch of market research before starting the show, and then try to find what would work best for them, for general people. Instead, we're doing a show and then seeing who likes it. And I have this really great example. I used to be a member of a country club in Texas, and they did really well. They had a lot of members, and they said, well, we want, and this is important, new members, not more members. They said they wanted new members. The club we were a part of was designed around the desires of the existing customers. The club decided that they wanted different customers. They actually decided they didn't like the customers that were there paying. They wanted to get new ones, different ones. And so they completely gutted the club, changed its vibe. It used to be a very classy place, very quiet, and maybe that's not the audience they were going for, but it was busy, it was loved, it was unique. Instead, they changed it into what felt like an airport waiting area. Not a bad one. It was still very classy, but it was very different. The place was wall-to-wall televisions, not loud, but noisy, and it played sports all the time. And so the vibe went from this very classy place that you might have a meeting or take a date or show off to potential clients or take, you're taking your boss out for dinner. It was a place to show off. It was a place to really, and maybe this is a terrible thing, right? It was a very pretentious place, but it was also very comfortable. They made a big point of making it your home away from home. They went on and on about how is your home away from home. This is your space. We customize for you, and there's private rooms when you want them, and a dining room. And it was wonderful, right? Being a member, is you would come in, and it was a beautiful, comfortable space, and they would keep alcohol just for me behind the bar. They knew exactly what I drank, so they would keep it. No one else got it, or they would keep it stocked for me at least. I would walk in, and the reception knew my name and my kids' names and my wife's name. Oh, Mr. Miller, your reservations are ready. You can go into the dining room at any time, but would you like to go to the bar first and have an aperitif and relax before it's time for dinner? Oh, absolutely. Go to the bar, maybe have a cocktail, order a wine flight, and when everyone was ready and we'd relax and we'd had a nice time, whether it was 5 minutes or 2 hours, we'd be like, I feel like moving into the dining room. Then staff would take all of your stuff and move it to your table, and you would eat, and you had this beautiful dining room. You had private chefs, and it was a fantastic experience. And so much of it was this vibe that they had, right? And when they changed it, they really got rid of that. Many of the services were technically still there, but they made it a completely different experience. It wasn't a place to hang out like that. It was a place where guys were having beers and watching sports. It was very distracting. It wasn't the quiet, comfortable living room. Instead, it was the sports bar down the street. It was like a really high-end sports bar down the street. And it would even be, on many occasions, it's like, hey, I want to watch this game. Oh, sorry, that's not the game that someone else wanted to watch. And that's makes sense, right? But it made it that only a few people dictated for everyone because it was this television-based environment. And for people like me, I get very distracted by moving pictures. I avoid restaurants with televisions. I really dislike them because I want to focus. Like I'm at a restaurant. If I wanted to watch TV, I'd stay home. Right? I don't need to go to a restaurant to watch TV. That's silly in this day and age, I think. I'm not saying that it's bad to do that. I'm just saying that that's not what I'm looking for when I bother to go out. So I found it really, really off-putting that and we asked, why did you make these changes? This so goes against what we were sold as a club, so against what all the members, I was a member of all these groups that are like this, we had this like backlash where like they're not changes we wanted. They said, well, we put out a survey. And consistently people said, this is what they wanted. We said, we didn't see any survey. Like, we didn't survey you. We surveyed people who aren't members. We're like, so you changed what we pay for based on the opinions of people who don't pay for it? That's a bold move. And the only message it sends is the people who are paying don't matter. And the people who might pay matter. Without us knowing, they didn't know if making these changes would draw people in. Hint, it didn't. And what they could have figured out is that making these changes would drive people away. Hint, it did. We moved to a different club. We sent our money somewhere else, right? And then ultimately stopped being members. But when we first started, we loved it. Now, if this was only us affected, then okay, we're an outlier and they made a good move, but that's not what happened, right? They crushed their club and it completely changed, and they lost what they were going for. They lost their recognition. They were looked on as this elite thing, and then it became just kind of an expensive sports bar thing. And so they fundamentally changed, and they lost a bunch of their market. That's a dangerous thing. How does this apply to this? Well, it's the same thing. You guys are not necessarily customers in a paying sense, but you're customers with eyeballs. You decide to watch the show based on it being a show that you like, whether it's the content or the form or the monotony of my voice keeping you asleep, whatever. These things work and have generated this audience. When someone new comes along and says, I don't like this format, what they're saying is the 16,000 people who subscribe and watch all the time are wrong. I want it this way. Now, that doesn't mean that if I made that change, that the 16,000 people wouldn't be happier. Maybe I have something I do that is universally reviled, but everyone puts up with it, right? You're wearing baseball caps, it should be fedoras. Everyone would prefer if I wore a fedora, but everyone puts up with the baseball cap. Okay, that's a interesting change that I wouldn't expect, but that could be the case, right? But one person coming in and making a comment is not useful. I would need thousands of people to say, here's a constructive change you could make. And even then, there's the question of, is this a change I'm willing to make because this is the show that I'm making, right? Yes, I would. If everyone wanted me to wear a different hat, I would. That's not a problem. But if everyone said, you know what, I wish you were making a show about Panama instead of Nicaragua, well, I'm not going to move to Panama for my viewers. I'm sorry, I love you guys, but there's a line at which I'm not going to change. And it would be similar to going on and watching Star Trek and making a comment on their Paramount's page somewhere and say, you know what, this is fine, but it would be so much better if it was a baking show. Well, okay, I understand that you would prefer a baking show, and maybe millions of people would prefer a baking show. But here's a tip. Instead of watching Star Trek, go watch a baking show and leave Star Trek for the people who want to watch sci-fi. And that's the case here, right? If I shorten my show, I get fewer viewers consistently. Now, sometimes I do a short show because I'm really out of time, but that has allowed us to verify some of those things that otherwise wouldn't be verified, right? So every time I do a short show, I get not just fewer views, also less time watched, which is more or less obvious, but not necessarily. Those could still remain disconnected. And so the show viewership goes way down when I do a short show and goes way up when I do a long show. It's almost directly connected. Other factors must be involved. Perhaps long format topics are more interesting and so get more people. That's possible too. But at around 5,000 videos and 7 years of doing the show, coming on and saying, oh, I think you're making the wrong show doesn't fundamentally make sense. Imagine going on to I Love Lucy after it had been running for, now it's a really good, I'm comparing myself to really big shows, but I have to compare it to something you know. Going on to I Love Lucy after 7 seasons of it having an audience established and saying, you know what, we've decided that we've made the wrong show. We're going to take the same actors, but we're going to make it a procedural crime-solving drama, and they're going to play cops, and we're going to move the format from 30 minutes to 60 minutes, and that will do better. Maybe it will do better, but probably you would do better by making a completely separate show for that. If what you want, and what this person wanted, is a short format, rapid fire AI explanation. Well, okay, but that's really fringe for my audience, right? I would have to make a completely new channel. Now, I could go make a new channel, and that's what the suggestion should be. If that person meant to be constructive, or more importantly, if they were smart, they would not say, this is what's wrong with my Nicaragua channel that has proven that these are the things that people prefer, that my given audience and the YouTube algorithm prefer, right? And that's, that's the crazy thing, is people arguing with the YouTube algorithm, right? Like, this is a definitive thing. It isn't like opinion like on regular television where you have very little feedback. YouTube immediately gives me feedback that if I do short forms, 90% of the time, it's like, you were wrong, that was not what people wanted. They may not want 2 hours, but they don't want 15 minutes. They want at least 18 to 20 minutes, right? So that and 40 tends to do quite a bit better. I just don't have the time to make those anymore because I'm working so much, and we do this live stream. And our longer live streams do better as well, right? The combination. And so if this person was being smart and actually wanted something constructive, what they would say is, this was great format. This is great content. I don't personally like this format. Valuable. Okay. Now, it's not telling me I should change, but informing me of at least this niche part of my potential audience would be interested in something else. Okay, I can work with that. What I would like to see is an AI channel, which I'm not going to do, right? I'm not interested enough in AI to do that. I can talk about it once in a while, but talking about it once a week would be a pretty banal. And I would like that to be short format. Okay, so you think I'm a good presenter with good information, thank you, but you would like me to make a completely and utterly different show, nothing like the one that we're doing, and here's what you would like it to be. Excellent. Those things make sense. Right now, am I going to do that? That's a long shot, but that is constructive. And every so often, someone does mention that kind of stuff to me. You know what? You talk about these things. I would love to see you do a show on blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. And maybe I would consider that. Oh, I hadn't thought of that, or I didn't think there would be an audience for that. Fantastic. We will consider those things. But this is not. Hold on. I'm going to move a conversation to somewhere so that more people can see it, so they can communicate faster. Is this the right group? Sorry, guys. Always lots of work. Okay. So anyway, that was a comment, and I wanted to address it since I didn't really have a lot of stuff that I needed to address, so getting that in there. Janet says, no, it can't be Thursday. I'm pretty sure it is. Robin says, hello. Sean Ellis, what's up from the Ellises up in Canada, eh? Janet says, so now I get to go talk to someone. Sean says, liked your last apartment video, keep it up. Oh, awesome, because I filmed an apartment video this morning that should be up sometime this week. So, Carlos says, why would I ever want to take my boss to dinner? I've had good luck with good bosses throughout my career. Going to even going back to when I worked in hotels, I liked my boss. My boss's boss, not so much, but I could go to dinner with him. But he's the one that promoted me a bit. I liked my boss's boss at Pizza Hut when I was a restaurateur. When I was at IBM, my boss is great. When I was at Citigroup, my boss is great. I probably went to dinner with all of them. That's always been. If you don't want to take your boss to dinner, I don't know. Rethink where you are. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying definitely change on that, but I've had pretty good luck. I've had good bosses. In the times where I've had really bad bosses, yeah, I didn't stay for very long, I guess. So yeah. So that was, but I just wanted to, I don't get too often the what I consider really dumb, non-constructive comments, so I shouldn't harp on it because it really is pretty rare, but when it does happen, it's like, sure, it could be a bot or a troll, but I think it's mostly people who just fundamentally don't understand business and customers or YouTube and have no idea that what they're saying is so dumb, right? Like, well, I think the show would be better if, okay, but this is what the show is, right? If I just change it, what if I made this show about AI or something tomorrow? Do you think all the people who subscribe to my vlog and Nicaragua channel and long format and suddenly it's short format are going to be like, oh, cool, I'm so excited that Scott's doing a completely different channel now? I mean, somebody's going to be like, I'll watch it just because it's Scott drones on and he puts me to sleep. He's got the magic sleepy time voice. Okay, but other than those handful of people, it's going to be people going, what the heck? What? I'm not unsubscribed, right? That's what's going to happen. That's the only thing. Like, what would you imagine signing in to watch Star Trek and all of a sudden the cast of Star Trek is putting on aprons and doing a, nailed it challenge? I mean, I would watch that once, but I would not keep watching Star Trek, Bake Trek. Okay, that's hilarious. I like the idea of that. So what do you guys got going on this week? What's been happening? So we got enough people on now. I'll just tell you what's been going on the last few days. So I was in Managua. Originally I was going in. We filmed, we do this every year, filmed Marcella's kids' school variety show at the National Theater, which is super cool. That it gives me a reason to go to the National Theater. And I'm really sad because tonight is the Birdcage is being done at the National Theater, and I didn't know until yesterday, and I couldn't make it work. I love the Birdcage, and seeing the Birdcage, because I've seen the Birdcage in English and French, seeing it in Spanish would be something I could follow and would be really good. And I love the show, so it'd be a great and I've never seen it as a play. So I was really bummed that I didn't get to see that. But so I went and filmed at the National Theater. Well, because I was going there, we went the day before to pick up my wife at the airport. She missed her flight. So this is Tuesday morning. We were going to go, but we knew at about 6 a.m. that she had missed her flight. So we ended up at not going until later in the day. So my kids and I were already like, we're going to go to Managua. We need to do stuff in the morning, so let's just go anyway, a day early. So we waited until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then headed up. I ran into just horrible traffic. Traffic so much that my left leg actually hurts, and my knee swelled up from clutching so much through so much traffic. And my kids will tell the story. We got to the Najapa detour, which is supposed to be a pretty small detour, maybe 8 blocks in total. But something was wrong. They ended up blocking the detour, and we had to do a complete detour around Najapa crater, which is a collapsed volcanic crater, which is an incredibly dangerous drive because it's a dirt road with sliding into the volcano, and it is deep, right? This is not a small crater. That was nuts. My daughter was actually like up against the window, and she's like, I'm not comfortable with this. Like, I'm not either. This is terrible. And it's terrible roads. So it was a wild drive. So that we lost 45 minutes at least because of that mess. Then hold on. Hoping people have seen these messages. And we were trying to get to NVO's Fast Track to pick up presents for my daughter. So I sent messages to NVOS, and they're like, oh no, we close at 5:30. And originally I was going to be there by 5:30. That was not happening. And so they actually stayed open till 6 for us. So thank you so much to NVO's Fast Track for staying open, because we were picking up one of the things that they had, and this is not a huge deal, but for you guys who watch the show regularly, we like playing Exploding Kittens. If you don't know what it is, it's a card game. It's kind of like Uno, but really advanced and a little bit more funny. And we really like it. It's really, it's a really fun card game. Well, we decided to invest in more of those. These are made by the Oatmeal. And so we got Imploding Kittens and Barking Kittens, which are expansion packs to Exploding Kittens. And so we picked those up so that our goal was to play that night at the apartment that we like to get. There's an apartment with a really nice dining room, and it's perfect for playing cards, and we get that in order to do that. So that worked out really well, and so thanks to NVOS for letting us pick those up, and my daughter's other birthday present was there, and so we got that as well. and then a few other things that were just maintenance stuff. Unfortunately, her big present from my dad has not shown up yet, but we're told that a package already arrived. It's getting picked up on Saturday because they allow pickups until 1 o'clock on Saturday. So my wife is going on another trip to Managua. We have 4 trips to Managua this week. It's getting closer and closer to it might be worth getting an apartment there. I kid you not. So we did that, and then we went to the apartment, and we have this apartment that I've filmed before, and I've got a filming of this specific one that we stayed in that we'll do at Codu. That's in Santo Domingo, and it's beautiful and comfortable and cheaper than a hotel for us. So we've started using it quite a bit, and it's just really nice, right? The whole thing works out great. So we went to the apartment, and by that point, I'm sorry. On the way to the apartment, we stopped by Casa del Cafe, and just got smoothies. There's seasonal smoothies and dinner. And if you are in the area and can do Casa del Cafe, their Beso de Angel cake is quite good. It has caramel flan in the middle, which is pretty cool. But their monthly cake, the pistachio cake, is unbelievably good. Definitely check that out if you can. Really, really, really good. So, that's so we did that. Then we got to the apartment. So it was probably 7:30 when we got to the apartment after that, and we all kind of wanted to go out, but my leg was hurting from driving so much, and we were a little bit stressed from the drive, and I was feeling stressed making Envio's Fast Track stay open so late, and we had just gone to Casa del Cafe, so we had time out in Las Colinas, hanging out a little bit. Beautiful spot in Las Colinas. And so we were like, you know what? The kids were like, let's just stay in. And so we ordered in dinner. And the girls felt like pasta, so they ordered from Pane y Vino. This is the nice thing about ordering in, right? You can get different things. And I ordered from the burger shop, which of course is right next to Casa. I could have picked it up while at Casa del Cafe and not ordered, but they had a veggie burger that I got. And it's a garbanzo bean-based one, so it's like a falafel burger, but it was quite good. I really liked it. And the girls tried it, and Liesl could not eat it, and Luciana really liked it. So that's a good note. But we did that and hung out at the apartment. And it's funny, but there's something about being in that space, partially because it's a lot of space, and it's really comfortable, unlike our house here where it's, dusty, and there's always dogs and cats and just always things to deal with, and you feel like you always have to deal with stuff. When we're there, it's one big air-conditioned space. It's a double-decker. It's a townhouse that's a 2-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath townhouse, and we can just set up the living room. And we forgot this time, we did figure out last time that what we want to do is take a Raspberry Pi that's all configured with Jellyfin and just have loads of movies to watch, because that's what we normally do in the evenings, and we like to just crash on the couch and watch whatever show we're watching. Right now that's Friends. And if we have this ready to go, we can just carry this with us and an HDMI cable, plug it into any TV, and voila, we're connected to everything we normally have. Plus, you can use it for whatever, browsing the web or whatever, rather than just using a laptop. Could I bring cables and use my... Yeah, but then I don't have my laptop to work on, right? And there's not necessarily a place to put it. So normally we would like to do that, but we really find that the dining room is comfortable. It's an entire space that we don't have anything like it in our current house, and it just everything is beautiful white tile and so just clean and not dusty and everything. So we really find just hanging out there to be really comfortable. So we had a really nice evening, just enjoying food and enjoying playing cards together and exploring the new card expansion. So that was fun. We had a nice evening. And then we actually went to bed on the kind of early side. Not super early, but decently early, because we had not gotten a lot of sleep the night before. And then I had to get up quite early on yesterday morning to take my daughter to the hospital. But that's why we were there. This is not going to the hospital. This is going for blood work. But the hospital does the blood work. So we had to get up early and go to the hospital to do the blood work so that we could run to the airport and pick up my wife. But the blood work ended up taking so long that my wife ended up getting in at the airport and just being like, I'm taking in drive, and just met us at the hospital. And then once everything was done there, we went back and got my eldest daughter, who had been hanging out at the apartment on her own. And then we went and did lunch, and then so we spent a bunch of time at Cafe Las Marias in Las Colinas, which is fantastic. If you're looking for a really good bistro kind of place, they're really good at the northeast edge of Las Colinas. And then I ran to the theater and filmed that show for the school. So I've got a whole bunch of footage of that. I'll show you guys some clips on a show coming up, and we'll get a bunch to them because the kids really enjoy getting to be on TV and stuff. So that's really cool for them. And then I came home. It was super late, and we couldn't decide what we wanted for dinner. Everyone wanted something different. But the kids eventually decided on Hooters, which sounds crazy. They actually have really good food here, and very different food here, right? So, and it's right by the apartment. We could walk there, but we were in a little bit of a hurry, so we drove. But normally we would walk. And then got dinner there. Loved it. Originally we got there and it was too busy and the girls were grumpy. But then once they got the mahi-mahi sandwiches, they were very happy. And Liesel had decided she wanted Chinese. So I ordered Chinese and had it sent to the house. But then we had already ordered food, so she ended up with backup food, and she got fish tacos. So she tried the fish tacos at Hooters and decided they're the best fish tacos she's ever had in Nicaragua. And so she ate one, and I ate one. Did I eat one? I tried one. I don't think I actually ate one. I ended up getting a half liter. No. I took one bite and was like, oh, this is really good. Then Liesel ate one. And then Luciana ate one and was like, wow, these are really good. And then we took one home because she had dinner coming from the Chinese place. And so they were, by the end, they were super happy with Hooters, which they've been to before, and they really liked it last time. But it was so busy, and going at night was not the time. And there was sports on, and it was all you can eat wings night, so the place was packed, and everyone was confused that we didn't want wings. And we're like, so it worked out really well. Now they remember that they really like Hooters, and because it's right in front of the apartment, it's just so easy to be able to go to. So that worked out pretty well. And then Liesel's Chinese came, and then she ate that. And we mostly just hung out. Liesel did homework. Luciana went to bed super early. She had such a long day. And I worked until late. Then today, pretty much just got up, did a nice late breakfast / early lunch, kind of a brunch, at Chow in Plaza Natura. If you're looking for a really awesome place there, fantastic. And then we came home. So that's what we've been doing, and now my wife is back from Colombia, so she's here, and we're heading to the U.S. next week. So we're not doing a live stream next Thursday because I will be on the road. All right, nothing but a hound dog. It says, how would you rate the burgers in Nicaragua? So this is difficult for me to rank directly because some of you know I'm a vegetarian. However, I'm a vegetarian who has owned a steakhouse and is very knowledgeable about burgers due to that. And so in general, right, Nicaragua is quite well known for burgers. It is one of the national foods here, along with hot dogs. Now, their hot dogs are a style that many Americans are kind of like, I don't know. But their hamburgers are generally really, really good. Now, if you're going to a generic restaurant and getting a hamburger, you're getting kind of a generic hamburger. The culture of like extreme burgers, not so much a thing here. Managua gets pretty good, but if you're looking for the really good burgers in Nicaragua, typically you're going to find them at places like mine, which is gone, so I'm not advertising. But when we had a place, we had a really nice steakhouse, and we did amazing hamburgers. And people have told me they're the best in the country, or were the best in the country. That's, of course, what you say, but they were good, right? But if you're looking for kind of the Nicaraguan experience with burgers, going on the street in like Leon, where burgers are a thing, is a huge deal. Street burgers are amazing. People rave about them, and they're a little bit different style, but they're not a style that Americans would be like, "What? No, that's weird. I don't want that." No, it's very acceptable as a style, and so if street burgers or steakhouse, you're getting really good stuff, or burger shops, right? But if you're just going to a random, hold on. Man, there's a lot of messages going on. It's just busy night. So in Managua, there's a large number of burger shops, right? Tons. If you go on like Pedidos Ya, which only lists a small percentage of them, 50, right? And you're just like, oh, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good, this doesn't look so good, this looks good, this looks good. You've got options, right? All over the place, people take their burgers pretty seriously. When you're out in the other cities, here in Leon, the street burgers are about it. As a vegetarian, there's one place that does something they call a vegetarian burger. It isn't even a burger. I don't know how they can make that claim at all. It's like stew on bread. It's and there's one place that used to make a really not very good veggie burger here in Leon, and they don't make it anymore. I think they went out of business. They like closed to open a new restaurant, something like that. Oh, sorry, gotta. We're trying to arrange data center work for someone tomorrow. So in most of the cities, I think, Granada, I'm sure you're going to find some good burgers. But like Rivas, it'll be not so much. It's going to depend where you are, right? There's going to be some spots like, Tepe, San Juan del Sur, where I'd be surprised if you couldn't get some amazing burgers at like normal restaurants. But mostly it's going to be loads of them in Managua and street or street-style burgers throughout much of the rest of the country. But you definitely have access to some amazing burgers with maybe a little bit of work. We're carrying signs now. I'm still working. I'll rewatch later. Hope all are well. It's sweltering here at 66 degrees. You're going to be in for a shock. Oh, I got to tell you guys. So I just got this. My dad will be impressed. This is, I won't use it on the show because it's so loud, but getting canned air, compressed air like you use for cleaning out a computer, is a little bit difficult here in Nicaragua. You can certainly get it. Like, I'm not saying it's hard to get, but you can't just go to the corner store and they're not $2. They're like $7, $8 per can. And of course, you go through it really quickly. And here in Leon, we are crazy dusty. I've talked about this. There's so much dust here. It is insane. Well, this is a rechargeable. You can kind of see it. There's a USB-C connector there. Duster. Very high velocity air. It's not quite as high velocity as you get from canned air. And it doesn't get ice cold the way the canned air does, which is awfully nice. But that also can cause condensation, so you gotta be careful. But this will just blow air and blow air and blow air. It takes only 2.5 cans of canned air to pay for one of these. I'll take this, thanks. So in reality, if you live here, I would recommend cleaning out your computers like at least monthly, if not weekly. You've got this, clean them out all the time. I blew out my my desktop. It's physically, 30 degrees cooler. My gosh, how hot has it been running? Marcos, how you doing? it's been so warm, partially because there's so much dust in it. With this, I can blow every direction. I don't worry about running out of air. I can just keep blowing until everything is clean, and I can do it all the time. And so I have, laptop, just so many things. Plus, you can clean your desk. You don't, with canned air, you're like, I wish I could use canned air all over the place, but that's so wasteful when it's so expensive. But this, just use it. So I got this from Amazon. I was between $20 and $30. It's a Gulu, but in using it for 2 days, I love it. Absolutely love it. I can't believe I never bought. I should have had one of these for a really long time. But living in a dusty place like this, where canned air is expensive, this is a lifesaver. This will lower your electric bill. It will extend the life of your electronics. It will make your house more comfortable, and it makes a lot of noise. So that is a funny purchase that I just happen to have sitting here, and I'm like, this makes me happy. There's Larry. I couldn't be prouder of letting you know about the four KFC franchises. I couldn't be prouder of not getting acknowledged on my top secret reports. I missed that there's 4 KFC franchises. So Larry mentions KFC is, we believe, confirmed to be opening here in Nicaragua. Managua, I don't know where else they might be going. My dad says, I almost bought one of those blowers a couple of months ago. We'll do so now. You'll love it, Dad. It is exactly the thing you're going to want. All right, guys, I'm going to do this. I'm going to turn it on. All right, brace yourselves. It's crazy, but it's so much air. So I'm cleaning out my keyboards, my everything. Just clean. It's like suddenly having a mop for the first time and being like, wait, I don't have to just put up with whatever's stuck on the floor. I can mop it away. This is fantastic, except it's really convenient. A mop you have to give it. Bad analogy. Anyway, now there's dust falling down. I blew out my computer, and I blew out the studio light because the studio light actually gets really hot because of how bright it is, and it's loaded with fans. Actually, I need to turn on my backlights. I didn't have them on earlier because the sun was still out. And when I did it, the whole room was covered in dust. There was so much dust in the studio light. Larry says the first 4 are in the city. So 4 KFCs opening in Managua. Boy, 4 seems ambitious. I mean, they'll be busy for a while, but once people get used to it, I don't know. But the question, Larry, is will they have the vegetarian menu? I've seen places that claim all KFCs have it, but normally those claims are all except, and then all the places that don't have it. All locations have it except for those that don't. Someone is looking for Birkenstocks in Managua and found them with a very small selection that didn't have what they were looking for, and at really crazy prices. And then someone said, the truth is, no Nicaraguan would wear these or go looking for them, so this is purely a gringo store. What else we got going on? That's my last 3 days summarized, so I've been busy with that. What's the temperature today in Leon? Well, I've only been here a little bit. I don't think it was too bad. I'm trying to look. It is 33, but we had a high today of 37, so we're coming down from 100. That's pretty decent now. What brand and model of the blower? So it's a Gooloo, Dad, Gooloo. And I don't know that there's a model X201. Is that visible? That might focus. I don't know. I don't know. But the X201 is the model number, but it's called the F3 electric air duster from Gooloo. But just got it on Amazon. I'm certain that KFC is not going to have vegetarian options like they do in the States, but if they do, we will be there all the time supporting them. There's so few. But I actually got 2 veggie burgers this weekend. One was at the burger shop, and it's very different. You got to be looking for something very different. It's kind of like falafel. It's a mushy garbanzo bean patty. So if you have a hankering for a real burger, it does not satisfy it very much. But if you just want to hold food in a like that, and you don't care what it is, then it'll satisfy that. But it had lots of fresh vegetables on it that were delicious, and it had tzatziki sauce, which I like. So the combination was all things I like, and I enjoyed the burger quite a bit. And it came with curly fries, which is not my favorite, but my kids love curly fries. So it was very popular with Luciana, and I think Lisa would like it if it just wasn't for the texture that she can't take. And then today, so yesterday I didn't have a burger. Yesterday I had the mahi-mahi sandwich. Today I had the veggie burger at Chow, which is really good. Theirs is a black bean burger, so the burger patty itself is only so exciting. They do a good one. And we don't do a black bean burger here at home. We do lentils, and we do yellow split peas and a couple different things for our burgers here, which are great. But they do so it's nice that they have a different patty with a different protein source, and they do it with loads of cheese, and they do like a crunchy, like super fresh tomato pickle thing. You know how you get those really crisp pickles on a burger, and it gives you that serious crunch with a lot of cheese? That's what they do with a huge brioche bun. So theirs is totally different than my home one or the burger shop one, and it's excellent. If you're going to be in Managua, Chow is one of our biggest recommendations. They are fantastic. They're also one of the very few places that does macarons. They're tiny macarons. But super delicious. They do lots of pastries. It's officially a tea house, but they do lots of really good coffee. They have a really interesting big menu. They've got multiple vegetarian and pescatarian items. Really good place. Larry says, best veggie burger is at Coco Kalala. I used to go there in 2021 all the time. 2023, they stopped letting restaurant clients use the pool. Yeah, I haven't had their veggie burger in long enough to remember. But if I remember correctly, I do like their food there. It wasn't good enough to keep getting because it's not as good as what we get at home, which is my guide. Like, it could be pretty good and not be as... if they have one, it's definitely the best in the city. Maybe they got rid of it. There's something that keeps me from getting the veggie burger at Coco Kalala, and that something is easily that they no longer offer it. They started offering a veggie hot dog, but it's not what we mean by hot dog. So it's like 2 long pieces of bread made to kind of resemble a bun, and it's something just poured into the middle of it to kind of resemble a hot dog. So it kind of looks like it's going to be a hot dog, and then you can't pick it up, and you have to eat it with a knife and fork, and it's just a bunch of mush. It wasn't bad, but in no way was it a veggie dog. It was veggie, but not a dog. And it didn't have the flavor, the texture, nothing of a dog. Not built like a dog. I can't remember about their veggie burger, but there was something about the veggie burger that either it just wasn't good enough for us to go back and get it. I feel like they do. I think they have 2 burgers, though. I need to go back and really evaluate their burgers. Their cauliflower tacos are great. I love cauliflower tacos. Coco Kalala does a generally really good job. There are a few things that they do that just aren't that awesome, but most of their stuff is really good. And they do good desserts, too, like vegan desserts. There's something that we get there. I feel like it's Can't be a cheesecake. It's got to be like a chocolate cake or something. Oh, now I can't remember. My kids, maybe it's a mousse. My kids absolutely love whatever it is, and it's a thing that if you knew what it was they were making, you'd be sure it wasn't going to be that good, and then it's fantastic. But in general, cauliflower tacos are really good. My dad just ordered one of these blowers. It is. I should get commissions from Amazon for this. Like, I've discovered the secret of keeping my office clean. And I like cleaning stuff all the time, and I find that it gets really dusty here. Plus, a lot of the things that we have. So this is a Nicaragua problem. You guys are going to hate this. One of the things that you end up with. Whoa! Something just happened. Do we still have image? My camera just complained about something. An error message just came up on the screen, but no, we're still streaming. Okay, I guess we're okay. I don't know. That was weird. Oh, I forgot to put the fan on the camera. It's going to overheat. Hey, guys, we're going to go dark for a minute. I'm going to bring up a message. I totally forgot about the fan, and I think I've got it set to 4K, so it's really going to burn up. I took the camera with me to Managua and did stuff, but I really like the image. We're running off. I don't know, whatever we're doing. I don't know if it's going to alter when I switch it. Let me find one of our hold screens. That'll work. And make sure no one leaves. Oh, tell your dad. Oh, you're telling my dad, Larry. He can read it. Tell your dad, Bills versus Bears in December on a Saturday night in December in Bills' new stadium. Ah, cool. Where is... Oh, I'm... Oh, Larry, there's Nicaragua national team, I think, is playing this Saturday in León. They were playing this week in Villa El Carmen. I kind of wanted to go down there just to check out the, what I'm told, awful Villa El Carmen stadium. Is that good? Is that good? Let's see. Boom. All right, let me go fix the camera. I'm still here. I'm still talking. Sue, where's my fan? Okay, it's over here. Oh yes, this camera is quite hot. Almost got it ready. Here we are. Does it look the same? Anybody notice a difference? Of course, there's a big gap in between. Larry says, I believe I have 3 guests from Granada on Saturday night and evening. Won't be able to go to the game. It's probably best. I probably don't have time to go anyway, but it would be cool. I had to do some wild driving on... Oh, that's where I was. I had to do... You would like this, or you would be interested, Larry. I don't know if you'd like it. I had to do some wild driving last night that was absolutely awful. And I got trapped in Barrio Nueva, Nicaragua, because the through roads were closed. And so there's a park in there. What the heck? Oh, the cemetery, Milagro de Dios. Around the cemetery, the roads were completely closed. And so I ended up having to backtrack and drive all over the place. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Unfortunately, I never got to see exactly where it was I went. But I know at one point I crossed Uruguay. There it is. Wait, there it is. Avenida Uruguay. So I must have... Google Maps took me in some crazy, crazy places. And never on a main road. It was the nastiest back roads I'd ever seen. It was the worst drive it's ever done to me. So I was coming from Via Libertad, which for those who know, you know. And it took me through Sol de Libertad, through Barrio Nueva, Nicaragua, through Milagro de Dios, across Uruguay, into a Barrio René Polanco, and Reparto Chic Uno, and Barrio Blanca Segovia, and I think we went through, and then it kept going all the way over, and eventually took me down. None of these streets have names, right? Like, this is completely crazy. Some nameless street west of central Las Colinas, and then down the street that the Arcadius is on. Oh, the Pista Las Colinas, which in Las Colinas is okay, but outside of like one block outside of Las Colinas is terrifying. That was like 6 in the middle of the night, in the dark, on only the worst roads, 6 of the heaviest barrios that there are. And we just got stuck in them wandering around. Or I was alone, stuck in them wandering around with no way to like look at a map and be like, what is going on? Where should I really go? This doesn't make any sense. It was not good. It was absolutely crazy. The only thing that would have made it a little bit better is if it also went through via Venezuela. Like, it was something. And I wish I had a map of where it had taken me, because it was nuts. No one would believe it if you saw it. Like, the roads were practically impassable and just everything. Oh, my color and brightness improved with the fan. Interesting. It's so I switch it from 4K capture to 1080p capture, and often I think that the 1080p actually looks better. It does change a couple different settings, and it doesn't force the Streamer X to convert from 4K to 1080p, because it's going to be 1080p going to YouTube either way. So I imagine that it, like, the resulting effort is just less or something, and it has more potential for it to look good. I don't know, but all right. We don't have a lot of people on this week. It's kind of a chill week. Looks like I've got another ticket. Or I got my first ticket, I should say, of the night. Got to go deal with that. Villa Libertad and Reparto Chic are two of Managua's roughest barrios. Yeah, for sure. I don't mind Villa Libertad. That one doesn't really scare me too much. Reparto Chic is rough. Do you know what that's named after? Like, that's such a weird name. I don't know what that is. Natrona says David Cross really let himself go. I did. It's been rough after Arrested Development. It just hasn't been the same. But yeah, thanks for noticing. Partially, I'm just getting older. The Secret Life of David Cross. Do we have... Yeah, but really that whole stretch between those two barrios is rough on its own too. Like that's just a rough part of the city. None of it am I like, and you know, one of the nice things is, and people point this out, even in those really rough barrios, they are full of families walking the streets, kids playing in the street. So like even in Chic was I not like, oh my gosh, what if the car broke down? I wouldn't get out of the car here. There was none of that. I'm not like afraid to drive it or anything. I'm afraid of getting stuck. Some of those roads are impassable. There's all kinds of washouts and stuff. Like they're very poorly maintained. But from a rough neighborhood perspective, it really is more of a general lack of maintenance and a lack of lights. You can't see the streets you're turning on. And I know that the crime is highest in those towns, so I'm not trying to downplay it and pretend that the roughest barrios of Managua aren't rough. They are. But it really is interesting to go into those roughest of barrios and realize that if this was the south side of Chicago, if this was the east side of St. Louis, if this was my hometown of Rochester, people wouldn't be doing that. Right, that would be really, really dangerous, truly epically dangerous. And in Managua, you rarely hear about anything really bad happening, and there's very little really bad happening, even with all of these people out and exposed. Right, it would be so easy for something to happen with so many people on the street. I found that very interesting. And if I wasn't so tired, and if people weren't waiting for me to go to dinner and all that, driving through those neighborhoods would have been a lot more just fun and interesting to see it. My dad says, I better sign off before you talk me into buying something else. Thanks for the summary of the last 3 days' activity. Larry says, when I bought my first ATV, I lived in Veracruz. I would drive through Reparto Chic, no license or registration. Cops thought I was crazy. These barrios were all nice areas years ago. Boy, it's hard to imagine them being nice areas, but... Greg says, hey, Scott, I'll be heading down there in less than 2 weeks. Simple question, would a Canadian ever wear a pair of jeans down there, or is it shorts and flip-flops all day, every day? Like, is it ever cool? So it is never cool. That you will never, even if you've been living here a long time, ever have a day where you go, I need jeans. That said, I wear jeans on a regular basis. So it's going to depend. Are you coming down forever and you're thinking about throwing all your jeans away? I would not do that. And there's a couple of reasons why. So here in Nicaragua, jeans are considered fancy, right? People don't really dress up in suits. I mean, they do, but it's extremely rare. So I was at a very fancy event last night at Teatro Nacional Rubén Darío. And we're talking sold out downtown parking and women in gowns and stuff, like quite dressed up. But most men and many women, including Marcella, in jeans. She was in jeans with like a fancy top and then a blazer. So certainly dressing up jeans, and she was in very high heels. But Nicaraguans consider jeans to be a very dressy thing. So if you're going out to a fancy dinner or something, if you're out on the beach, you'll never see jeans, right? Well, people working in the thickets, but you won't really see jeans on the beach. But if you're going into even Leon and you're going to a nicer restaurant, Nicaraguans are going to be in jeans on like all the time. You will stand out in shorts. Is it a problem? Absolutely not. Nicaraguans understand that you are cooking. They understand that you don't wear jeans in this kind of heat. They understand that you're a gringo. Like, all that's fine, right? They're not looking down on you like, I can't believe they're not wearing jeans. They know, right? But you may go to a restaurant and be like, oh, I kind of wish I was wearing jeans. Or what's now starting to happen is that we do have some places that are air conditioned. If I'm going into the AC room at Gecko's, I wear jeans. If I'm going to Summer, I wear jeans. If I'm going to Twins, I wear jeans. Because when they air condition here, they air condition too much. And I end up cold. I wore jeans to the theater last night, both because you do not wear shorts to the theater, but also because I was cold in the theater, not warm. I was not like trying to keep myself cool in my jeans. I was thankful to be covered up because they're blasting the AC. That's a new thing in the last few years. When I lived here in 2015, never would I have encountered air conditioning, period. When I first was here again in 2019, we spent so much time looking for a single air-conditioned restaurant in San Juan del Sur. None. Not one. And we went on a death march trying to find them. None. But now I guarantee there's several in San Juan del Sur. They're all over Managua. There are multiple here in Leon. Even in Sutiava we have one. There's none on the beach, which is sad because the beach does get pretty warm. I would really like that. But in Sutiava we got Twins. In Leon you've got Gecko's and Barbaro and Summer and El Convento. Recollection, most likely, which is La Esquina. I think there's a couple others. And then in Managua, you can encounter air conditioning on a regular basis. There's lots of air-conditioned places in Managua to the point where you start not to notice it. Most any indoor business is going to be air-conditioned. If you're sitting outside, no, but if you're inside, like we were at Hooters, definitely air-conditioned. Casa del Cafes are all the Casa del Cafes are air-conditioned. We just don't think of them as restaurants. They're just coffee shops, and they're chains. Oh, of course, your McDonald's and things like that are air-conditioned. You got plenty, right? So there are situations where you will want jeans if you're like living here, but if you're just visiting, you're just here for a few weeks, you will not have any need for it. The other time that you need it is if you're doing anything with like immigration, you have to do any government stuff, you have to visit Interpol, all those places where it's non-emergency. Like if you have to go to the police because something happened, of course you wear what you're wearing. If you have to go to the hospital, you wear what you're wearing. But if you're going to a casual visit or like we did, we went to the hospital to get stuff done. Normally you'd wear jeans. That's a little bit more flexible. But if you're going to anything with the police officially or a business meeting or migración, those require jeans. They may not even let you in. And that goes years ago. That was still the case. And often not air conditioned. It's just what they require. So my dog wants out. I don't know why they put him in here. He didn't want to be in here. Larry points out that Shawarma Leon is air conditioned. I forgot about that, or maybe never noticed. There's starting to be more and more places. And of course, the grocery stores are air conditioned. Now, most of those places you're not in for very long. McDonald's, Shawarma Leon, La Colonia. You're moving around in the grocery stores, and most of those are kind of fast foody. Like, you're not going to be there for a long period of time. But if you're going to a nice dinner at Summer, for example, you're probably going to sit there for a while, and they've got a lot of air conditioning blasting. You might feel a bit cold. Geckos, definitely I get cold. I wear long sleeves and jeans in those places. My wife will wear a sweater, right? But it's really the real thing. Like, as a Canadian, probably you can get away with no jeans for everything, except if you want to do something that feels fancy, you're going to have that desire to have jeans. So if you're going to be in Managua, I wear jeans to a lot of places just because I want to be dressed up a little bit. Greg says, that's great info on the clothes. Thanks. I am moving there, so I won't get rid of them all. Yes, if you're moving here, you definitely want to have 2 pairs of jeans. Are you going to wear them often? No, certainly not. But I always have a pair. Like, if I'm going to Managua, I always pack a pair of jeans. I easily don't wear them on a trip, but I easily would. Like, if I wasn't in a hurry going out to, like, Hooters last night, I would have preferred to have had jeans. I don't believe that I did. Actually, now that I think about it, I probably was still wearing jeans when I went there. I was. Oh, now that yes, I actually did. I wore jeans and a long sleeve shirt to Hooters, which was the right thing. I was still cold, so all varies. But of course, Managua is much cooler than Leon. Leon, we understand how hot things are. The expectation of jeans is much lower. If you're in Jinotega, Matagalpa, Esteli, certainly people wear jeans all the time, even though as a Canadian, you'll never be so cold that you want to wear jeans. Now, some people do wear them to keep the sun off. I know Marcella will often wear jeans even when it's really hot because Nicaraguans often burn much faster than I do, which is surprising to me, and that throws me off. But that's often why they're covering up, is because they don't want to be exposed to the sun. I think we're going to take a real quick break, and I'm going to run out and feed some cats. We've been away, and we're worried they haven't been fed enough. So I'm going to take a moment to do that. Yeah, they're getting close to the house, and we try to keep them away from the dogs so we can hear the dogs barking. So I'm going to go do that. I will be back in just a few minutes. And talk amongst yourselves, ask questions, all that kind of stuff. Be right back. right, I'm coming back. Oh, how many people disappeared while we were gone? And okay, we got some comments. Good, good, good. Hey guys, sorry the cats. It was important that I feed the cats. We've been away for a few days, and they have not gotten their full complement of food during that time, and so they were coming into the yard and meowing. I mean, they're fine, right? But they were getting hungry and getting adventurous, and that's dangerous for little kittens. So went out and fed them, and they are happy. Go Chow says, hello, I'm new. Well, welcome. Sorry that you came on during a time that I was out feeding the cats, but I'm back. Andre says, hi, we're a family of 3 in Costa Rica. Wife is Nicaraguan. We have high mountain land here, but want to relocate to Nicaragua. Can you suggest areas with cooler climate? Yes, hold on. I got to open the door for the dog. Or let him out, actually. He's leaving. You were just here to survey the room, and now you want to go. Okay, here you go. Go on. Good boy. Good boy. Okay, so Nicaragua never gets cool, as your wife likely knows. It's always warm, but there are some areas that are better than others. Of course, Managua is Managua is cooler than the area out west where I am. That's what's super hot. And south of Managua, you've got the mid cities, the Jinotepe and San Marcos and Diriamba. That area is a little bit cooler. But you want to get actually cooler, you have to head up into the mountains. And so you got Esteli, Matagalpa, and Jinotega, roughly in that order from warmest to coolest. All of them much cooler than the rest of the country. Never anywhere near as cool as San Jose. But they make for a very mild climate. Still warm, but very mild. So of those, my personal favorite's Matagalpa, but an awful lot of people really like Esteli. Jinotega is beautiful, but it's very small and remote. So that one gets... A lot of people say they're really interested in it until they actually look at it. And then they're like, this is small and really, really far out. So it may not meet the needs for a lot of people. But... those are your reasonable options, and they're in very nice areas. Esteli's a lot flatter. Matagalpa's bigger, more mountainous. Esteli is closer to the border and to Leon. Matagalpa is just a tiny bit closer to Jinotega and to Managua. So it's a region worth checking out. They're all pretty close to each other. So. Did a silly. Just posted something. Someone sent me a note and I copied it and accidentally posted them right back to it. Yeah, so that is the scoop with that. And all of them, one of the nice things about all the mountain towns is they're all very affordable and safe. Esteli is by far the most expensive. Matagalpa is probably the most dangerous, but it is my favorite, so not something that would dissuade me particularly. I think Matagalpa has the most to do, the most restaurants and clubs and nightlife, but Esteli has the sports. If you're into soccer and stuff, that's where you're likely to be. Club Esteli, Real Esteli is located up there, so that's of interest to some people. We've done all of those on the show, so definitely check out those episodes to see more about those cities. We have a very small, quiet live stream this week. And that's mostly my fault. We got started late, and I've been gone for days, so I haven't been around to prep and everything. So my apologies. And we may keep it short this week. That's cool. I certainly don't mind doing a short and sweet week. It's been busy. I have lots of work to do. So if we get people, happy to be on. And if we don't, happy to save energy for 2 weeks from now. A reminder, of course, that next week we do not have a live stream. Every week we try really hard to do it. We miss very few. But next week I will be with my dad, who was on earlier, in New York, or on my way to him. I should get to him that night. But I will be traveling all day on the 28th, and so cannot be doing the live stream. But I will be hanging out in New York, and we will try to live stream from there 2 weeks later. I'm going to be about 3 weeks in the U.S., which is a lot for me. I have not been there 2 years ago. Is that right? Was I not there at all? No, I'm pretty sure I was there in 2025, but just for a week. I think that's right. Maybe not even a week. And so this is going to be the first time we've done a big trip. We did Disney World in 2024, which is not that long ago, but we've not been there for any amount of time. My kids have not been there since the 2024 trip, so 2 years, which is pretty crazy to kind of think about. We live so close, but it's been so long since we spent any time there. It's weird being away from your home country for so long. To think that, what do you mean by Matagalpa is more dangerous? I mean, they just have a higher crime rate. Like, it's straightforward. Remember, all of Nicaragua is super safe. The most dangerous barrios in Nicaragua are nothing compared to going to high school in the United States. So it's all about relativity. But Matagalpa does have some downtown elements that are known, like late at night, some parks that you don't want to walk in by yourself, right? Much of Nicaragua, you don't have that at all. You can just go anywhere, anytime. Not that you should go alone into a park in the dark at night, but when living in a place that's so safe as Nicaragua, people do things that are much more exposed. I have friends who've, been mugged, and it's, two 20-something girls walking cluelessly through a street in a situation where they walk it all the time in the dark, at night, in a pattern where someone knows where they're going to be. And so it's very, very easy for someone to come up and grab their phones or whatever. So things like that do happen anywhere. Like, you're never going to have complete safety. But there's so much safety here that people often treat safety very callously. They'll say, oh, it's so dangerous, but they actually don't take very many measures because it's so safe. And so put themselves in more dangerous situations. It happens. But Matagalpa, we do consistently hear stories of the downtown park being scary at night. But Leon, I walk through the park in the middle of the night all the time, and it's creepy walking through a big open park in the dark, right? Just because it's a big open park in the dark. But is it scary? No, not at all, right? And I've gone there at night to hang out at 3 o'clock in the morning and just sat on the park bench and, never had I have to watch out for things. Of course, you do pay attention, right? That would be stupid. But there's a difference between paying attention because it's the wise thing to do and paying attention because you need to, because you're fearful. But of those also, Matagalpa is the biggest, right? Its downtown is much larger than the others, so you generally get more crime in larger cities as well. guys heard a door somewhere. How long have we been on? Only an hour and a half so far. Boy, it feels like we've been on for a while. It's actually early. or early for the stream. All right, I guess I'll do a little work in the background, make sure no one's got tickets waiting for me. You guys are pretty quiet this week. There we go. How do you feel like border areas of Honduras and Nicaragua? Oh, how do I like the border areas? Well, so most of the border of Honduras and Nicaragua is empty, right? So there's not a whole lot up there. As a foreigner, I can't own right on the border. Not that I would want to. There is one or two towns that people seem to bizarrely be interested in, and I'm not saying that they're bad places. They're just bizarre places, right? It's like if you went into rural Montana and found just a medium-sized town of 10,000 people, and we're like, this is a nice town. It's got a little diner, the grocery store is okay, you know, there's a little bar that people like, and then found out that expats were constantly asking about that town randomly, you'd be like, what? That's what it's like here. Jalapa is up there on the border, and a ton of people ask me about Jalapa, which of course I've never been to. It's a tiny little town that's hours and hours and hours from anything. There's no problem with the border, and it's not like, so I live 2 hours from the border, right? I'm not on the border, but I'm not far from it. And I've driven up to the border plenty. The last hour, there's nothing. Right, you're basically in wilderness going up, and then there's a ridge, and then Honduras is up on the ridge because they're higher elevation. That's what makes them another country, and they have cooler temperatures a little bit, but there really aren't settlements of any size near the border. So considering anything in the border area is very much a, what do you think of this area of trees? Well, it's nice. Like, it's as fine as any other area of trees. If that's what you're looking for, it can work out really well. But there really isn't much up there. As an expat, so now I'm a permanent resident. So I'm in a different category, and those things aren't a big deal. But if I was a new expat, I would be avoiding the Honduran border area just because it's the farthest point from the Costa Rican border, and you need the Costa Rican border for your border runs. So that makes the Honduran border region less attractive. Nicaragua has plenty of wide open spaces. So if your goal in being near Honduras is to just be off the beaten path and away from things, you can find that other places with a lot easier access to the capital or to the border. Sorry, the border is what I meant, but also to the capital. Expats especially, but all Nicaraguans have a tendency to use the capital. Living on the border makes you far away from it. But, you know, some towns up there do look pretty nice, and I'm fine with going to visit them. And, you know, if you find the right place, you find the right place. But I'd be surprised that it's the place you want to be unless you have specific ties or something to Honduras that make it make sense for you. what makes you interested in the border specifically? I do have friends up in Honduras, so but even them, they travel to Leon, and and they live on the islands, like going all the way to the far side of Leon, and they just do it via bus, and so the buses are actually more convenient from Leon and Chinandega than they are from most closer towns. So in some ways, we're among the closest. Esteli has buses that go to Tegucigalpa. We've got them that go along the Pacific coast and so forth. But we can take buses to Tegucigalpa. We can take buses to Ciba and San Pedro Sula and that stuff. Sorry, doing some work and moving my laptop around. I'm waiting on feedback if you're wondering. Healthier life. What is it that makes... What about the Honduran border is attracting you? That'll probably... The border zone is really large, right? Like, it's a really long border. I think it's the longest border in all of Central America. And so, on the western coast, it's at the Gulf of Fonseca. That's a completely different animal than if you're in the middle and Rio Coco area or whatever, which is a completely different area than if you're way out in the autonomous zones in the jungle. There's just, it's hard to generalize. It'd be kind of like, what do you think about the U.S.-Canadian border? You're like, well, in the east, it makes a lot of sense. In the west, you're just in the middle of nowhere. The whole border's in the middle of nowhere. Hey, a few more people are on, just no one's talking. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Hello? Knock, knock. Anybody home? Well, I like Esteli, and notice the border is not far... Okay, okay. Esteli is not what we here would consider the border zone. Let me look at a map and give you an idea of... Yes, Esteli is quite nice. That is... So, in a Nicaraguan perspective... Esteli is 2 states away from the border. Here in Leon, we're 1 state away from the border. There's only us and then Chinandega, and Chinandega was broken off of us. So our distance to the border is pretty low in that sense that it used to be here. But from Esteli, you still go through Madrid and Nueva Segovia to get up to the border. And so those... we think of as border, and Chinandega we think of as the border states. Plus, then the autonomous region out east is also a border, and Jinotega has a large border. So those, but Esteli is, you've got Condega and Somoto and Jalapa, and while you can draw a line here, let me get you guys a map. I can find all my tools. Okay, there we go. Now if I can just get to it. There we go. All right, let's get rid of some of this. Okay. Okay, here's Esteli, and Honduras is out here. You can kind of see the border running along there. So Esteli's about here. Yeah. So if you're drawing a straight line, Esteli to this part of the border, it seems pretty close, right? Wait, where'd it go? There to there. However, you'll also notice that roads don't go across there. So the actual distance to drive there, because this is not a border crossing area and this doesn't have roads there. So if you're going from Esteli to the border, you would go potentially this way and much more likely this way to Danli. Getting from Esteli to this western border, it's doable through El Sauce, which is Leon, but it's a bit much. Now this is the main crossing at Guasaule, so that's what we really think of as the crossing. This one up here, Los Manos, is a truck crossing. It's not something you would normally do as a tourist, but you can. But if you look, there's a couple different states in here. And a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, it's decently close to the border, but no closer than Chinandega, and it's definitely still what we think of as our main cities, right? San Juan del Sur we think of being kind of close to the border because it's much more physically close and it's got a straight shot, and it's by a crossing. Esteli is not near a particular crossing, and that's quite some distance, right? So barely closer to Honduras than it is to Managua, and we do not consider it close to Managua. So yeah, no, but this entire area is very, very nice. We got lots of people on the channel who really like the Esteli area. It's a moderate-sized city, very up and coming, has a lot of development, a lot of investment going on. It's a richer city. It's very popular with expats, especially now, and especially with Chinese expats. I'm told it's like the place for the Chinese expats when they have the option. Now, very few Nicaraguans or expats tend to use Honduras. Now, that said, I was hanging out with someone from the channel this past week who lives in Tegucigalpa and visits Nicaragua. So it does happen. He's been there for a while, several years, and likes Tegucigalpa. It's a nice city. I've been there, no complaints. It's not the city I'd be looking at moving to, Tegucigalpa, but it's okay. And I definitely don't mind visiting. Now that the airport's not there, who knows when I'll ever be there again. We used it because it had an airport quite close to Nicaragua back when there were fewer flights here. But now we have more flights, and it doesn't have the airport, so they've moved that a ways away. I think I'm going to run outside and check on the cats again. Yeah, Hold on. I will be right back because I just heard the gate go, which means my kids are out checking on the cats. I'll be right back. I am back. They were going to check on cats, but there was no cats. Everything's good. Ooh. Oh, I see the message. What do we got? Oscar Patino, I will be in Nicaragua for 4 weeks in June. Would you please mention where the expats meet? Thank you. Honestly, I don't know where expats. Well, so there's an expats group in Matagalpa that gets together. Most of the beaches have some amount of expats that gather. San Juan del Sur, of course, is expat central. That's basically all expats hanging out. But as far as expats meeting in general, I don't know. It's not a big thing here. Nicaragua's kind of the place where people who don't want to meet too much go. Not that we're avoiding expats, just the idea of having expat meetups is a little antithetical to what drives many people to choose Nicaragua. We've talked about maybe doing one in Leon, and we do kind of have a group of expats here in Leon that tend to show up at Via Via on Friday nights, but like I'm rarely there. It's not that me being there is a linchpin to anything. Certainly, I affect it very little. But just saying, like, don't go there expecting me to be there. I rarely am. I don't do any official meetups. I'm not avoiding them, but we don't have any in the city. From time to time, there'll be an expats dinner at Encontiki in Las Penitas. If you're in the expats forum, of course, you can post in there about it. But other than the monthly, I think, meetup in Matagalpa, even with all the forums, we're unaware of there being any real expat meetup in the country. It's just not something you'd expect. And I don't know how many countries do have that. I've lived in a lot of countries, and never have I experienced the expats get together thing. And so I guess that one catches me off guard a little bit. So I've lived in Spain, Italy, Romania, Ukraine, Greece, Panama, Nicaragua, and that concept has never come up. And all of them, it feels really awkward to think of it in that context, but they must exist. There must be like groups of expats that are like, hey, get together. But obviously you know, what city, what town you're in really matters, right? Like, no one would be like, oh, in Spain, there's a million expats. We're all traveling to Sevilla this weekend for the expat convention, right? Like, that sounds really weird, and it is. Um, but in any given town, you easily have some group of expats who get together because they're in a small town and they want to get to know each other. But even that, I've not heard of. Even in Granada, I've not heard of that, and that would be the place most likely to have one. I am a drunk guy. What's up, everyone? I'm currently in the States and I'm missing home. Be there in July. Full time, though, so that's a plus. Yay! Good luck. I will be in the States shortly, but not for very long. 3 weeks. We need more people chatting on here if we're going to keep me awake. Move my laptop back for a minute. We've been here a month and it feels like 6. Oh, in the U.S. Yeah. At least we're not there so long that we're always like ready for the flight home. Why? Why is there a call? Everyone knows not to call me. Oh, I forgot I had something for you guys. Crap, I got distracted. Where did it go? Okay, it didn't go there. Didn't go there. Must have gone here. There it is. Here we go. All right. Earlier we made a joke about this. We'll see how many people are still on from that. I just want to point out I'm a doctor, not a pastry chef. Baking is my function. Cake is a good day to die. These are not bad. Long live and bake. Sugar and signals. I kind of bake it, but I'll make it work. Boldly bake were known as bake before. I can't believe how well that turned out. That's some good stuff. Okay. I just spent 2 days at Paraiso in Laguna de Apoyo. Very nice place. Hey, Tim in Nicaragua. Speaking of people from Esteli. I love that place. They're great. Wow, I just noticed we have very few people on right now. I'm feeling very low energy this week. I hate when I'm racing to get on the show, like I've been traveling all day and trying to get to it. And it kind of turns into, hey, everybody, just watch me work. Because there's so much to do. Sign. Yeah, Paradiso is very nice. I like that place. Luke is here. Hola, y'all. Late band practices tonight. Hey, Luke, I have a feeling we're going to be wrapping up really early this week. We started late, and we've only got a few people on. Like, this is incredibly small, which is cool. I was in Managua for days and drove all day, and I'm very tired, and have a lot of work to do, so I don't mind. I don't mind if we do a short one. Vocal crowd, Claro. Yeah, it's oh, and we just lost 10% of them, just in that time. And I haven't had a chance to eat yet either, so not that that's not a big deal. I don't care, but. And not only are there very few people on, they're very quiet people this week. Day here of waiting for bottled water delivery, daily water shutoffs up. Oh, well, that's no bueno. We do need rain. We're getting close to the rainy season. Should be getting close. The trip to Managua for the renewal of residency went well, but still waiting for the call to return. Paid $200, take photo and print cedula. So that's the full renewal. Okay, cool. Were you just in Managua? We could have met up. We went to Hooters and got mahi-mahi sandwiches. I've had 2 veterans reach out from the WhatsApp group for benefits guidance. Folks are going to see life-changing compensation. Random question for fun from The Vision. Oops, if you had to move tomorrow to Ometepe or Corn Island, which would you choose? So it's a little bit unfair because I've spent a bit of time on Ometepe over the years and I've not been to Corn Island. In general, I'm going to say Ometepe for a lot of reasons. One, I'm currently interested in a house in Ometepe and not on Corn Island. So, I mean, that kind of just answers it. Ometepe has 55,000 people. It's actually quite large and gives you the feeling of like a Caribbean island, like a big one in a way. Loads of restaurants, lots of variety of stuff, an easy ferry to the mainland, surrounded by really safe water, meaning not surf and not riptides and stuff, which I like. The lifestyle in Ometepe, I think, works pretty decently for me, but it's big enough that you've got stuff to do. The Corn Islands are subject to hurricanes, so that's a risk out there. They're very small, very remote. Only one of them has an airstrip. You're looking at a quite limited lifestyle, right? Being on the Corn Islands. If you're vacationing for like a week, the Corn Islands are probably fantastic. But for full-time life, some people really like isolated islands, but it's extreme, right? Whereas Ometepe doesn't feel so isolated. It doesn't feel like you're so incredibly limited in that way. And so I think it's much harder to find a full-time desire to be in the Corn Islands, whereas Ometepe, I think it's pretty easy to want to be there full-time. I think for me it's pretty clear that's the way I would go. I'm also not a huge fan of Caribbean living. I work in Belize, and it's fine, but I don't I don't find myself being like, oh, I can't wait to be back in Belize. I can't wait for the, the lifestyle on the beach and all that stuff. Luke says, yeah, Gilligan's Island versus Maui. Exactly. It's if you look at someplace like Guadeloupe, yeah, I could find Guadeloupe seriously attractive, or Cuba, or the Dominican Republic. Those places are big, and they have a lot of interesting things going on. The Corn Islands are just this small group of people. You've got a whole bunch of expats and some Nicaraguan little villages, but just tiny villages with no real resources. And that's just, I think that would wear on you. I think Ometepe has enough variety that I would not. Ooh, someone's advertising that they do tequeño de guayaba con queso, which a normal tequeño is just con queso. Where is this place? In Managua. Oh, I'm following them. Pedacito Man. Those look really good. Expats fishing for white lobster in the Corn Islands. Where is this place? Why do places not put more maps up? Trying to get a picture of this so I can send it to my kids. Do the sharks concern you at all? I'm never concerned about sharks. Or is it more of an interesting fact, something to actually worry about? So, if you're going to live on water, you're going to have sharks, right? The Corn Islands don't have that many sharks. And where I live now has sharks. So, and we never hear of, in life, sharks are not a thing to worry about, right? You are something like 10 times more likely, 1,000 times more likely, I don't know, to die from eating a hot dog than you are from a shark attack. Shark attacks are not, they're like getting hit by meteors, right? Slightly more likely, but not much, right? In reality, sharks are neither avoidable nor an actual threat. If you're in a situation where the people are like, oh, we just saw sharks here, you shouldn't go in the water, that's different. But taking basic precautions like that is enough to essentially eliminate sharks from any concern in the real world. I've never seen a body of water and said, I won't go into there's sharks, except at like SeaWorld or something. You should be more concerned with sharks in Florida than in LATAM. Oh, for sure. So many places. And, like, where are the famous sharks? Massachusetts and stuff, right? But none of those places are things where you're like, oh, I'm afraid to go in the water. So it's, no, I don't worry about it at all. And of the potential locations, Corn Islands must be the highest shark risk, then where I am now on the Pacific coast. And then Ometepe has had one shark attack in 100 years or something like that. Like, it's, and I don't know that there's a death. I'm referring to the lake around Ometepe. Oh, no, that's the least sharks of any of the options in the region. Like 0.01% as many sharks. I think it's the only lake with sharks. It is a lake with sharks, but I live on a beach and don't consider it, but figured in a lake it might be more of a thing to encounter as it's not huge. Yeah, I mean, so first of all, the lake is huge, but the density of sharks in the lake is extremely low compared to the ocean. So the same area, if you were to take the lake and put it over the ocean, there'd be many more sharks in it, especially in places like the Corn Islands where they are shallow, right? Yeah, no, I've never heard of anyone encountering a shark in Lago Nicaragua. There are historically shark issues going back to colonial times that caused people to live differently. And there was a point in the past where there were so many sharks that it was problematic and they hunted them. But now people wonder if they're extinct or not. They're not. They do exist. Um, um, but they're extremely, extremely rare. All right. So I've looked this up on the show before, and it even shows that I've looked it up before. Um, there have been 3 reported attacks in the lake ever, according to that particular place. I'm trying to find a historical list just to give an idea. Okay, recorded attack. Indian fell into the water. Okay, here's one. Unprovoked attack when someone was bathing, 1850. This other one is so old they don't have a date on it. Number 3, there was an unprovoked attack against the bathers, 1944. So we're just shy of 100 years. We're coming up on 200 years with 2 attacks. So it's about once every 100 years there's one attack, is roughly what it comes down to. That was a pretty good estimate, but I had looked that up previously, but I was kind of guessing in my head, but spot on. One per 100 years. And there's people out there all the time. Not a ton. It does make people less likely to go out. But considering that the lake historically has always had people in it, and the ocean does not, there's actually by ratio more shark attacks in Nicaragua in the ocean. Promo. Luke is here next. Expat Luncheon of Matagalpa is Friday, June 5th. Who was it who just asked when? Was it Oscar? Oscar, there's your information for the Expat meetup you were asking. At the Brooklyn Cafe, yes. Everyone always wants to get together at the Brooklyn Cafe. I would like to put together a group that gets together in Leon and gets together at Twins, because I think that would be a really good location for it. And easy to do, and we don't do anything like that here, but we do all see each other, so it's a little bit different. I think that almost everyone's been here for a while, but some new people do come in, so it's like, yeah. Sorry, distracted for just a minute here. What do you guys think? Should we wrap it up for this week? We're getting a little bit of conversation, but you guys, it's very light, and we've only got a few people on. It might be a good week. About every third week, we have a really busy one. About every third week, we have a really slow one. It seems to be a little bit of a cycle, and that's cool. I don't mind. But none next week. Remember, no live next week. We are taking the week off. Luke says, our freight forwarder has misplaced 3 parcels in their Miami to Doral relocation. Wait, Luke, are you using the same one as me again? I thought you stopped using them. I just saw them the other day. They stayed open for me. I was running late to Managua, and they stayed open so I could get there. Division says, go get some dinner, bud, and thanks for the Shark Facts. Catch you in the next one. Oh, of course, a few people just joined on. Sorry for the people who were just signing up. I think we're going to call it a night. I need to get some dinner, and I've got a lot of work I need to do, so I'm trying to get to a couple things all at once. But there's not very many people on, and it's been very slow. We've been on for 2.5 hours, so now it's kind of okay. When it was 1.5, I was feeling like, but 2.5 is acceptable. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Remember to give a thumbs up on the show. And, of course, we'll have the regular daily show, just not going to have the live. And with that, I will see all of you